Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our next episode of our Owls in Flight virtual conversation series, where we discuss matters relating to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Jana Brady, a geography lecturer at Southern Connecticut State University, and I have teamed up with Southern's Office of International Education to moderate this series. We started this conversation series way back in June with an accounting of how our country's communities and schools adapted to the threat of COVID-19. Now we're a couple of months on from that, and I'd love to hear an update from you guys on how things are going on that front. Nicole, can you start us off?
Hi everyone. I'm so happy to see you guys again. Feels like it's been a long time, right? So what has changed in our country? So our country has moved to level 2, which means that alcohol can be sold again and cigarettes can be sold again. Restaurants can sell alcohol up until 10 p.m. at night, but only during the week. And liquor stores can only sell alcohol from Mondays to Thursdays from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. But I think everyone is actually happy for the cigarettes that's like unbanned now again. Um, but yeah, you can visit family members now as well. Um, but there's still like a lot of restrictions, and if you walk without a mask, it's officially like you're officially going against the law, which means you can be criminalized for it. Um, yeah, that's basically it that has changed for now. Anyone else?
Am I on? Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much the same for me, in the UK. I think we're on level 3 as well. So, to be honest, like life seems quite normal again, which is nice, obviously. Masks are a requirement, in all shops, um, except for like restaurants and bars, which are also open now. So places where you eat and drink, a mask isn't required. But everywhere else is. So I was actually in like the town centre this morning, and most shops you walk into, um, like there's someone standing at the front saying like, "Can you put your mask on?" um, before like entering the shop. Um, so yeah, I think we've actually started in England. Some places have had like local lockdowns. So there's like places that aren't far from me, like Preston, Lancashire. I'm in Liverpool, so there's like Preston, Lancashire, Greater Manchester. They've had local lockdowns, which kind of like similar to the full lockdown like a few months ago, where you're not allowed to mingle with like people who are outside of your household. Um, you know, the places in that area will be shut, like shops, restaurants, and bars, so you're not allowed to go there. Um, and obviously, like they're shut off to the rest of the public. So yeah, I think for us so far now, like we've kind of been like, I know one of the questions Janie emailed us about was like our personal like household, and for me, we're all like really quite relaxed about it now, but like in a safe way. Like when we go out, we do wear our masks and we take hand gel and things like that, but it does kind of seem the most normal it has been since the beginning of it all. Um, but I think like when you do go out and about, it's quite strange because like the town centre does seem so busy. So I'm kind of anticipating like a local lockdown. Um, so I don't know, but I guess we are all still following the rules, like people I know. So yeah, it's nice to be fair. Like it's probably like the nicest it's been since the beginning of everything, especially like with it still being summer. I mean, Eng- England summer isn't exactly amazing. It's literally raining outside right now. But yeah, it's nice to be able to like actually do things again and meet up with like a few friends at least. So yeah, that's my update. Anyone else? There's not a lot of us today, is there?
I agree. So for the United States, though, each state is a little different. So Connecticut right now is like one of the safest, and that's where I am. But you'll see like states like Alaska, like Texas, like they're actually still like not good right now because it goes by state basis. It's not like a overall government thing. I mean, being in Connecticut, like it is still super safe, so everything is back to normal, kind of like what you were saying, Katie. It's fun actually. It's not like fun, but it's like a new normal where like since everyone has to wear their masks, it's like a new compliment to be like, oh, I like your mask. Or like, oh my gosh, like it's like a new accessory. To like start like complimenting people on. With bars and restaurants, like the only big difference when you take your mask off is that there's like the plexiglass installed on some of them, or you can like have this like seat you differently to like do the 6 feet distance. But aside from that, yeah, I think the best thing is like complimenting people on their mask. I think it's so fun to like see all the different designs and everything. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but it's cool.
So for me here in China, the situation is getting better, and the cinema, entertainment facilities like that are reopened. But like in the cinema, if we want to book a ticket, we have to book a ticket that, we have a seat empty between two seats occupied. So this is according to the policy, and you cannot sit together. Maybe you used to sit together to enjoy the film, but now it is impossible. And like if we are going out by underground or by metro, like by the public buses, we have to wear masks, and in the shops masks are so. And I think that among the students group, the most seriously affected are the college students, because senior high school students and junior high school students, they can go back to their school regular as usual, but college students, as far as I am concerned, I'm going to have online courses the next term, so our college will not be reopened for large scale, and only some specific majors, like they have to do some experiments in the laboratory, so they have to go to school, and that kind of majors are reopened. But my major, as an English major, we are having online classes at home, and that's the situation in China right now.
Hi, Goha. We're talking about like our current update on the pandemic. If you wanted to like add anything.
Tabia, can I ask? Oh, sorry, wait, go on. I was just gonna say, because obviously I know that in China, like obviously masks was like a huge thing because of the pollution before COVID. I know that my friend did a study abroad here in Beijing, and she had to have like a special pollution mask while she was there. So I wondered how, if you'd noticed like any differences in that, like whether you yourself would wear one, like in regards like pollution in different areas, and how that's kind of changed, or if it has, or the differences between it.
So Katie, you're asking about maybe the N95 mask and the normal mask?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Actually, I am not a medical profession, but I do know that the N95 mask, it can protect 95%, around, I think it's over 90, maybe not 95%, but it can prevent the 95% of bacteria and those harmful components from the air. But the normal masks, like those for the nurses and doctors, they can only protect about 30%. So maybe if you are, because you know that Beijing has a second outbreak for the coronavirus a month ago, so maybe your friend who live in Beijing have to wear the N95, but now in Shanghai we only wear the normal masks, and sometimes if we have enough space, I even don't wear mask anymore. So it's too hot. We have 38 degree here. If you wear a mask, you will be, how it is feel. So even if I have enough space between people, like 1 meter, so I don't wear mask anymore in that situation. So how about you? Have you wear mask all the time if you go out?
Yeah, no, me personally, like definitely not. I think in every situation where I don't have to wear one, I definitely won't, because they are uncomfortable. I think we could all agree on that, and they're not like it gets like quite like cloggy behind there. So yeah, again, only where it's required. Other than that, I think it's nice to just get like the fresh air. And Goha?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
goes.
hi everyone. I was having troubles actually with my internet, so sorry for the glitch that happened. Actually, the situation in my city is quite normal. We had like about 250 cases of coronavirus so far, and 235 are already healthy, so they don't have the virus anymore. So it's pretty good numbers. So that's why there are like schools opening, and the community gatherings are allowed for a limited number of people. People don't usually like wear masks when they are not in a closed space. So, for example, when you visit office, you have to wear a mask, but when you're outside with your family, typically you don't wear. But I'm not speaking about Armenia in general. I'm speaking only about my city, which is the Connecticut. It's in a separate thing. But in Armenia, I won't say that the situation is as good as in our city, generally in Armenia, because the cases are getting higher and higher, and it's mostly because people don't want to wear masks, and that led to the government to impose some fees and I don't know, fines for not wearing a mask. So there are certain types of categories of how much fine you have to pay. What Concerning our university, we decided the AUA, since we're a private university, we are not doing the semester on campus. We are doing it online. So far, we have that decision. And while the other universities, the government gave a chance for each university to decide for themselves, so they can do either one, either online or go on campus. So that led to a lot of kind of contradictory opinions from our students, because some are for online classes, some are against it, and it led to kind of conflicts within of opinions. So right now we're in this situation, since our classes usually start at September. So we have like 2-3 weeks left until the classes start, and it's kind of confusing right now. That's why a lot of students may be having this anxiety of how the semester will be, what to expect of this year. So far, I think that we are doing our university has been very responsible in terms of what is going on, because they are looking for to different aspects of this and don't rush into opinions, into making different decisions. So let's see what happens, but I'm really I really hope that we will come to the decision that will be best for everyone. Yeah.
I would say that our university as well decided to stay online. So our semester, not semester, but our year ends in, I would say, the 16th of October, basically. Because we will be writing our exams in November. So I think they've decided. I don't know if we're gonna write out our exams online or have a sit down. I'm hoping we'll sit down. Um, Online is it's okay, but like I like more to have like a sit down. a sit down and have one online, and having a sit down, I feel like it puts less pressure on you, you know, because you see like the time bar on top where you have to like answer and stuff, and you see like the time ticking and you're panicking because you don't know what the next question is. You don't see, if you have a paper, you don't, like, you can't just like page over and see what is like expected of you in the next set of questions or whatever. um so online you get the first question and that's the only question you get, so like, yeah, I hope that we can have a sit down instead of an exam online.
I think obviously Jane said before about me like finishing university now. So I think that my university is gonna do a blended approach from September. So they're gonna do like some in-person classes and some online for like the current students there, which I think is like probably the best idea, because I think for especially first year students, like they deserve to begin their university experience on campus and get like a whole feel for the general like layout of the university and like what hopefully it will be in like long term for them. So I think they're going to just kind of like adhere to social distancing measures um and teach some smaller classes, but then others will be online, which is hopefully good, because I know that trying to finish my degree online was like the most stressful thing ever, because you can't, like, the exam that I was due to do, like my final exam, like they just kind of said, have a look at the lectures, and it's like, this is literally my degree. Like I can't just, I don't know, I just felt like I really needed to be taught in person. And to be fair, like the lecturers were amazing and they did upload probably more content than they would have if we had the lectures in person, because they kind of compensated for the fact that we didn't have it in person. Um so yeah, like I guess we'll see. I mean, I really want to go back to my university and give like a few presents to my lecturers to say thank you. So hopefully like it will be open to like do that. Um but Jana asked like what my next step is now. So obviously I'm like kind of job hunting. So my degree's in psychology. Um and so I'm kind of looking into the mental health sector, which to be honest, there's like a lot of jobs available, and I'm assuming they're just going to continue to become available, especially as a result of this pandemic. Like, I know that people have massively suffered with their mental health. So yeah, I'm kind of going into that sector, and I've been invited for a few interviews so far, and I've had to like wear masks to them, which has been a bit crazy. If you feel a bit like more pressure to like sell yourself. Um so yeah, but I guess it's just adapting to like a new way of life, and I think obviously majority of humanity has kind of done it really well. Um and yeah, just they're different, but we're all kind of getting there, and hopefully we all will. Just good luck to everyone who's going back to university though. I'm sure you're gonna do great, guys, like regardless of the situation and how it's taught. Is Leonardo here? Is he gonna
Katie, the jobs that you're applying for, are they online or they would be on person, like, as well?
Yeah, no, so they're all predominantly online. There's like various job websites. I don't actually know whether they're international, but they're like Indeed is one of them, Total Jobs. Um, what's another one that I've signed up to like so many. I get like job notifications, I get like 30 emails a day. But I've also, my uni is really good because we have like a huge careers team, and I've signed up to Job Alert from them. So they send me like literally Job Alert every single day. And in the meantime, it's been really good actually, especially with it being on lockdown. They've got like a whole website full of like, how to navigate LinkedIn, like preparing skills for interviews. You can do like practice interviews. So that's been really helpful. Kind of just getting job alerts from then, and then because I've kind of like pre-filled in an application form, I just like send that off straight away. It's like all already filled in, so I've literally applied for like 30, I think, so far now. So fingers crossed it won't be long. How about you guys? Anyone like what's everyone else's like work situation? Is anyone kind of going to go into work while they're doing university as well, or what's everyone's thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of want to try and find like something online, you know. But like, yeah. So, but with school now, it's a little difficult with everything being online, and we have literally got like 8 weeks left for classes. So our lecturers is pretty much just trying to get work done, you know. So like it's assignment after another, but like I probably would want to do something like an online job as well, because obviously we do have free time. Um, seeing that we only have like classes three days out of the week, you know, but the rest is like mostly doing assignments and homework and stuff. But I also like wanna find something online that I can, you know, earn something during this lockdown.
To be fair, sorry, I think I probably misinterpreted that question. Sorry, Emma. I thought you meant like if I had applied online. So I have applied online, but for the jobs I've actually applied for, they would be like working in person, and because the mental health related, so it's like either in the NHS, which is like our National Health Service, or like private mental health sectors where they'll be in like residential units. So yeah, sorry, I thought you meant if I'd applied online or applied in person, but I'd applied online before jobs that would like require me to be in person. And I think I'm kind of just assuming they're gonna have like social distance measures in place in like the places I kind of end up going into.
You're good. Thank you, Katie. It's nice to know like both sides of it, you know, the applying and also like what the job would look like. For here in the US, unemployment is super high right now. The pandemic definitely like made a lot of people lose their jobs. So I think finding a job is one of the hardest things right now because anybody who went online, they already have their employees kind of locked down, and there's so many people like more than ever looking to like go back into their jobs or like find a new job. I feel like it's like competition is a lot higher. um, that being said, it is different because some jobs are in person and some are doing a mix. So I know the government was giving like the unemployment like stipends, and because they have just recently stopped, that also like pushes a lot of people to like even if you weren't willing to go in person before, you would try to do it now just for the sake of getting a job. I don't know if any of you guys have also seen that.
So, in terms of finding a job, because I am in my senior year right now, so I was looking for an internship this year, and I found that the requirements of the job have been changed. So basically, the job I am looking for is like working as a teacher in a public school, junior high school, and the principal requires that the teachers must be in Shanghai for 14 days without going out, because if you want to work in a school, you have to face so many students. So they must require you that you have been locked in Shanghai without going out, so that you in this way they can ensure the safety of the students. And there are many jobs that have special requirements like that, like you're working in government, and in some places you have to face a large amount of people. They have the same requirements that you have been in one place for 14 days, so that it's rather a safe period of time to ensure the safety of your colleagues and the people around you. And I also want to mention that for maybe some people like Katie, because you have to graduate this year, so there are amount of students who have graduated this year also. So they received some benefits from the government for, make up for their losses of opportunities to find their ideal job. I don't know actually the amount of the benefit is, but there is some policies like this. So they can receive some money at least to make them feel comfortable or better in this difficult. So is there?
Sorry, now I was just thinking, no, to be honest, I think as like a final year student, who kind of had to complete the degree during COVID, we didn't receive like any specific like government help like in regards to grant. I know that so I don't know how paying for university works in your countries, but it'll actually be interesting to know. But in ours, so we have like student loans company, and we kind of borrow the money from the government and we pay the university a tuition fee, and then we have a maintenance fee, which is kind of like what we're expected to live off. So if you moved out to university, for example, you would use that money to pay your rent. But I know that there was kind of petitions surfacing to say that the tuition fee should be reduced for this year, not just for final year students, actually for like all students, because well we wasn't in university, basically like everything had been moved to online. So I don't actually think that like anything came of that. I think like obviously students did try and kind of petition towards it, so but I don't actually think anything came from it. But what I do know is that kind of most UK universities took a thing called a no detriment approach, which is that if you had performed worse in your second semester compared to your first semester, they wouldn't take into account like that worst performance. So like it couldn't like affect your overall grade massively, and like totally bring like your average down massively. So that was really good. I personally was like consistent luckily, and I know that like a lot of my friends were, but I also know that a lot of people did struggle and their performance did drop as a result of it, unfortunately. Like, obviously they might have been like under pressure with a lot of things, including like their academic work. So I think that was nice of the university to take that into account and not let the effects of COVID affect like their academic capability, kind of. So that's not necessarily related to grant. I'm not sure whether some people may have received one, but they did kind of change an approach towards like receiving your grade, which was nice of them to do. I thought that was like fair. So yeah, I don't know about anyone else's university and like what their situation was.
Our university normally starts in Feb, but we're gonna start in March next year. Because if anyone did bad on like any exam during this pandemic, they would like to give them like January and February to kind of um, redo it, you know, and go on to like the next level, which I feel like is a positive thing because, as you said, Katie, um, this pandemic for those who were living on residency and had to go home, and maybe didn't have the quiet space to work or didn't have like the internet or whatever resources they were lacking, and that could have affected their ability to excel academically or whatever. So I feel like I'm actually proud of my university for giving them the 2 months to work on their performances, and giving them a second chance to say, okay, we know that it's been difficult, so we're giving a second chance to actually redo your grade and pass, I mean, what you do with it, it's up to you at the end of the day. So I'm glad that we're actually starting in March, and I mean, even I could be in that position. Who knows? So I'm happy. I'm glad for that. I'm glad my university has done that. Um, yeah, and in terms of funding, I mean, I get funding, I get government funding, but I don't think like compensating or anything like that, for last year students or whatever. And like earlier, you said about the first year students and the experience, and like I'm a first year student, and like this pandemic has totally messed up my university experience. So I would have loved to actually just like go back to class. Um, because obviously next year we'll probably have a lot more classes, so I won't be able to enjoy it as much. So this was kind of my year to like kind of ease into the whole culture of the university and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be tough next year. You know,
You got
Emma,
this,
what's your
Nicole.
thank you. Emma, what's your school doing in terms of like people doing bad or whatever?
I know what Katie brought up, people trying to get that reduced price in tuition. That's a big thing here in the US, especially for the first year students. Similar to Go Hard, all universities, it's kind of like an individualized basis on what they plan to do. Some are trying to do only online, some are doing a mix, like a hybrid of in-person some classes and online some. That's what Southern's doing. But for the ones that are only online, I know, especially for the more prestigious colleges and universities, a lot of the freshmen are trying to get like a reduction in their tuition or any kind of university fee because they're not going to be on campus. Um, but it's not only freshmen. I know even some of like the upperclassmen. It's the same mindset of like if you're not really on campus, what is all the tuition like going for if it's online? Um, Southern, I actually just moved my stuff in yesterday. Hopefully I can go and like stay at Southern on Monday. I only have a few classes in person and the rest are online, so it is the mix. But it's also the ones that are on campus are more for like the labs, which is like what Tabby was saying. The whole university is really doing. But yeah, so like that push for getting the reduction in tuition, I know that's like been a really big debate and a big controversy throughout the U.S. Goha, you were telling me about how your colleges are also like individualized. Have you experienced any of like wanting to reduce the tuition fees?
So actually, the public universities are not really considering tuition fee reduction because most of them are preparing to be online. But ours, for instance, they don't prepare. Oh, sorry, I misinterpreted. So public ones are not going online. They most of them want to do offline. But since we are doing offline and our tuition fee compared to the public ones is much higher, our students definitely want to have tuition fee reductions. However, what our university's general response is that even if you are not using the facilities of the building is still being operated, and the quality of your tuition fee that we are getting is on the professor's salary. So they transfer that money to their salary. So the quality that your professors give you and the teaching materials that they give you doesn't change even if it's online or if it's offline. So it's the same professor and they give the same lecture. So that is the main argument. And also, since our university has a lot of donors, so Armenia is very, very strong, has a very strong diaspora. And our diasporan Armenians are really involved in the educational sector, in all of the sectors of Armenia with their investment and their donations. And most of the tuitions are, there are a lot of scholarships that these donors give. So a lot of people have the opportunity to apply for those scholarships and be able to learn, to be educated in AUA with about from 50 to 100% like coverage of their tuition fees. I personally have that tuition. I have an award, so our university gave me a merit-based award, so scholarship, and I don't pay for my tuition. So I was lucky in that. But also, since this situation of pandemic has emerged, university knew that there will be even more students who would need tuition assistance, and they had organized a campaign to fundraise money from all over the world, from all Armenians. And actually, we had a pretty good number, and all this money will be transferred as a tuition assistance, and our students can apply, and that will cover their tuition. So that was it made me really proud, because it is generally shows that our university cares about us and our students, and even if they don't reduce the tuition fee, they still do something to help students. And I personally don't think that tuition fee reduction will have a good impact on the university, because, like for example, when they give a pass or no pass system in the university, because it kind of lowers the status of the university, and it may impact, since AUA is very eager to establish its status as the best university in Armenia and in the region. If we were to introduce the pass or no pass system, that would significantly decrease like the perception of our university and the kind of education that our students are getting. So that's kind of all the policy changes that we were facing during this time. Some of our students disagree with me, and I totally accept their opinion because they have their good arguments. But for me, I guess that our university has done a great job in handling this. So I would be happy to know what yours did. So thanks.
I think it's nice that we're kind of all on the same page about the support we've received from our university. I think it goes to show that like they genuinely do like care about us and want us to do the best we can. I think that's like nice to see. Like I know that I really loved all of my lecturers and like enjoyed being taught by them, and they kind of become your friends. Like, you know, we communicated on like a first name basis. So I think like they genuinely were like really upset for us all that we had to move online, because they obviously enjoy doing their job, and so just kind of gave us all the support that they could whilst, you know, this like COVID was kind of going on. And I think it's nice that we're kind of a collective in that way.
Actually, I would also go back to the finding a job while you are in the pandemic as a student. So what good thing our university also has is that they have these work study positions. So university has different centers within itself. For example, we have environmental central, entrepreneurship center, and many others. So our students have a chance to become part of that center and actually work. It's kind of the internship that they can have. And I also use this option. So I am work study at the Entrepreneurship and Product Innovation Center. And during this time, our center had made a huge step in helping people to recover from pandemic. Right now, we are having since August 17th till August 23rd, we have an online entrepreneurship festival, and people from all over the world can join and participate in this. So our slogan was to reimagine your future, because we know that many people are facing this challenge, whether or not their profession is relevant right now, or how can they continue with their job. And what main idea was to connect all people from different backgrounds and to show them that you can actually change yourself and your skills can be turned into a venture or to a startup or to an entrepreneurial start that will give you a new chance to reimagine your life. So I was really happy to become part of that festival because we see the results. A lot of people from various backgrounds approach us and they write us that they want to become entrepreneurs. They have their startups and they are thinking about changing themselves. So I think that many of our students have been facing this actually of how will situation be after I graduate, or it's my first year, I don't know, it's online, how will that be? So whether you chose the right profession or you didn't. So these questions are always in our minds, and I think that with this kind of online possibilities that they are with these webinars and all these talks, we can actually we see that we are not alone, and there are a lot of people like us who are struggling in these times. So yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the No Student Left Behind Fund that the university started raising to um, provide students that we need with laptops and yeah, so and data. So you get like 10 gigs for the month, which is like preloaded on your phone, as well as 20 gigs night data, um, which I was also one of those students that got that, um, the laptop and still receiving the data, which was actually a really, really big help during this pandemic. We are not sure how they are trying to raise enough money to make the like to make us pay less um on the laptops that they bought, so we don't pay like the full cost of it. Um, or they are even trying to make it for free, but obviously that'll be a tough one. But I don't know how we'll be able how the like payments will go for students. Um, if we will pay once we're done studying, or if we'll pay like monthly starting next year. Um, well, I think that was awesome as well because a lot of students probably wouldn't have had a laptop for like maybe saving up for a year after working, or whatever. So I think that was amazing. Seeing that everyone went back home for those who stayed at residency and for those who were home and maybe didn't have a laptop and made use of the university library to like access the student portal or whatever. So yeah, I think that was something that made me proud as well. You know, um, so that our university knew the needs of students and went out and like started this fundraising thing. And I think they provided, I think was it up to 4,000 or 5,000 students? I'm not sure how many students, but I think it was like along those numbers. So they helped out a lot of students. So I think that yeah, that's how my university was like being productive during this whole pandemic. But what I wanted to ask is, once this is like all over, which we don't know if it's going to be, um, but what's the one thing that you would remember, like, of this pandemic? What's the one thing that will like stand out to you and be like, damn, could you remember that or whatever?
So I will remember is definitely the mask, and also my first time experience of having movie screenings with my friends via Zoom. So we were all over the world, and we had like played games via Zoom. So Zoom became like our room for interaction in different ways for like the professional or entertainment or educational. So everything was connected to this camera, and it was kind of the experience that when I say pandemic, I imagine myself sitting in front of laptop with my all life in this. So that's what came to my mind when you first said that.
I think mine, so at the beginning, say like March, I can't, so my, like both of my parents, like are key workers. I don't know if you've like got that term in your country, like the key workers, like the people who kind of still needed to go into work. So because I'm obviously a student and I wasn't no longer going into university, I was like with my little sister who's 8 every single day, kind of homeschooling whilst I was like teaching myself. And it was just really lovely to have like every single day, just me and her. We done, like, I don't know if you've heard of Joe Wicks. He was doing the PE on the TV at 9 a.m. every morning. But it was like it was like super worldwide because he used to do shout out and there was literally people from all over the world. So kind of just waking up and keeping in that little routine with her every day, like, and she was just so funny. We just made like so many lovely little memories together because we did like art and craft, and it was just really nice to have that time, just me and her. That's like one that I'll definitely remember. um and another one is, so me and my family every night we had like a Marvel movie marathon. So we literally started from like the very beginning Marvel movie and watched them like all in order, and it was literally the best thing ever. I turned into like the biggest superhero nerd ever, but it was like kind of like a little thing that really got us all through, like when the day had been like so strange and so hard on some days. It was like, right, what movie is it tonight? And we'd have our tea together, and then we'd get like all cozy and just watch like the next Marvel movie. And it was like a little saviour during it, to be honest. So yeah, I think they're like two things that I definitely remember and keep throughout it.
Yeah, I think the amount of time I spent like with my parents and like building more memories with them is definitely something I'll remember. I went through so many like different TV shows with my dad on Netflix. It was a great break between like classes and like all the stress of like being online. It was nice to like go to like the living room or like wherever the TV was and be like, okay, like let's like get an episode in real quick together, or like, oh, I have like an hour for lunch, like let's try to finish like the series. And being able to like be home, I would usually be on campus away from my family, so like having that time was really nice, and it's definitely like something I will remember.
So for me, the time I will remember in this pandemic, is it your question, Nicole? I cannot hear you so clearly, so I'm not sure that. Yes. Okay, so because during this pandemic, I do not have so much social activities as usual, so I spent more time with my parents, and I remember that I and my mother went to visit my grandparents maybe in July, I think. So I actually spent a whole week with my grandparents. So we played cards and we talked a lot about my future plan and about the daily things happening around. That kind of talking will not happen unless I have go back to my hometown for the spring festival. So I really enjoyed that week spending with my grandparents, because I usually don't have so much time, and with my mother, with my whole family together. I think that's really a great union for the whole family, and we do a lot of fun things together because my sister is also. There is plenty of things to do at home, although we cannot go out, but we can, as you guys have talked about, we can watch the TV series, watch some programs together. So yeah, I really enjoyed that period of time and never feel boring.
I think for me, in all honesty, and for a lot of South Africans, it would be the ban of the cigarettes and how like um, buying cigarettes illegally was more expensive than um, putting gas or, as we say, petrol. Some would say fuel, like into your car. It was like 10 times more expensive buying a pack of cigarettes than um, putting gas, like a gallon or whatever of gas in your car. So I think that would be something that a lot of South Africans would remember, and even me included. Because like I feel like the ban was obviously a very dumb move. Um, because a lot of people still bought them like illegally. It was still like freely open for like the the people to buy. Um, so I think and the fact that I had a little dog named Ben that entertained me. So like he was like a little puppy. So yeah, those are the things that I probably would remember. Um, because I spent most of the lockdown alone. Um, most of it on my own. I've I was like I think a month and a half on my own, and then a month and a half with my aunt, and then like a month with my parents, and now I'm alone again. So other than that, I think those are the things that I would obviously think about, you know, of yeah, the whole pandemic when this whole thing is over.
So, Nicole, what was the reason that cigarettes were so expensive? I'm not, if I missed something.
Okay, so our government banned cigarettes, so it wasn't
Because of
allowed.
because of the pandemic or just the general?
No, because of the pandemic,
Oh.
you know. Yeah, so a lot of people would buy it like illegally,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, from like spas or shops, you know. Um, so that's why. So like a normal pack would be around 32 rand, but then spas and shops sold them for like over 200 rand. So like from 32 to 200, just like imagine how big of a jump that is. But it was mainly because of like the ban of the cigarettes. That's why it got so expensive.
Yeah. So, Katie, I definitely can relate to your story with having small children, like kids, with you. We are actually a very big family. We are children of five, and during this pandemic, we all got together. So my brothers and sisters with their families and their children, we're all living under the same house. So imagine what it was like. Every time I was turning on my video or muting myself during the classes, I was afraid that one of our kids will just jump in my room and scream something. So they are not so into like arts and crafts. They are usually into screaming and jumping. So that was the experience that I had. So basically, I was kind of having my personal kindergarten, my own, with like 5 or 6 children in it. It was definitely fun to have all the family gathered together. It was this noise, talks at the evening about different stuff. So that was also very memorable for me. And if it weren't for pandemic, I don't know what was the last time that we managed to gather with all the family together. So
I think as well, similar to what Nicole said, like there was obviously like ridiculous things as well, which I'm sure we'll all remember, like toilet paper, like flying off the shop's shelves because everyone was like kind of stacking up on toilet paper. I know that like pasta was being sold on Amazon for like £70. Like as if someone would pay, like things that you could store that would obviously last a long time, like things like pasta and like canned or tinned food were being sold on like eBay and Amazon for like crazy amounts of money, which kind of became like a bit of like a joke amongst it all.
Well, I think this is probably a really good note to end on. So much of the talk around pandemic has been scary and chaotic and uncertain and definitely very distressing. But it's been great to hear that there have been positives that have come from it. You all shared really beautiful stories about spending more time with your family and interacting with the people that you care about, but in new ways. And I think that we all really made more of an effort to check in with people and be more connected during a time when we actually had to keep our distance and couldn't be with each other, or at least our bigger groups that we'd like to be in. And of course, Nicole shared her love affair with cigarettes. Thank you. That was very moving as well. I hope that this is not something we remember about the pandemic, but rather something that we can incorporate into our daily lives going forward, post-pandemic as well. So thank you for joining us today. This was really, really wonderful. And we will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. And for those of you who it's already nighttime, have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.